12 years ago, I started teaching others how to trade just for the heck of it, and it ended up turning into a business. A few years ago, I started a Trading Coach podcast just for fun, and it ended up turning into another revenue stream. So here's the thing. If I can do it, and you guys know me, then anyone can. Find something you're passionate about, share your knowledge or your experiences, and start a show using Spotify. Why Spotify? Well, because they make it super easy to record, edit, schedule, and monetize all from your computer or even your phone. And best of all, it's free. So get started today at Spotify.com/podcasters or download the Spotify for Podcasters app. And hey, if you need any help with podcast ideas or topics, let me know. I'll help you out. Hey guys, Akil Stokes here. Welcome back to the Trading Coach Podcast. Today we're going to talk about how to give yourself a mental boost, increase your edge in the market in a different way, and really what you can do to get better at anything. Now, before we hop into the show, I want to give you guys a pretty cool update. I just started an Instagram broadcast channel for the Trading Coach Podcast. If you go to my Instagram handle, at Akil Stokes RTM. Look under the profile. You should see something that says the Trading Coach podcast / Trader Talk broadcast channel. If you want some behind the scenes look at what's happening with the Trading Coach podcast, meaning questions that I'm getting, maybe new episode topics that are going to be released but haven't been released yet, just general behind the scenes stuff, conversations and content that I may not put out there to the general public, make sure you sign up for that broadcast channel. That way you are on the other side of the curtain, you stay in the loop, and you are the first to know whenever I do something cool. So Instagram at Akil Stokes RTM, check out that broadcast channel and check out the show. All this to say, we have no idea what's ever going to happen in the market, right? It's funny because, you know, I don't have a big economic background, right? I didn't go to a Wall Street university. I'm not I didn't study any of that stuff. I had 2 economic classes in college, which I did very poorly in, mainly because the professor had a very deep accent. I think he was from India, and I couldn't understand it. Osman Sullivan, right? But I remember being taught all this stuff in traditional school about the economy, supply and demand, economic events, and how everything is supposed to go. And then I just find it funny how now that I've been doing this for 16, 17 years, and I'm actually in the world of like the financial markets, most of what I learned is not true. Like, and I don't mean not true, meaning like they lied to us, but just textbook is typically different than reality. And I'm sure you see that in all aspects of life, right? You see that in sports where, hey, this player was supposed to do that, and then he ended up doing something else. And it's like, why did he do that? Because it's sports, it's human beings. We don't really do everything we're supposed to do. You see that in other jobs as well, where, you know, you learn about a job in training, and then as soon as you get hands-on experience, it's completely different. I think driving is a good example too, where you're taught how to drive, and you're like, okay, you're supposed to signal before you shift lanes and look left and look right and never pass on the curve and all this fun stuff. And then you go out there and, like, because all these other crazy drivers are doing crazy things, sometimes you got to do crazy things as well. So, you know, it just goes back to the kind of my motto in life, that nothing beats experience. That if you want to get good at anything, right, you do need to train yourself. Don't get me wrong. You need to be prepared to a certain extent, like build your foundation, build your basics, right? Have that basic understanding. But at the end of the day, it just comes with experience, right? The more hands-on experience you can get, the more real life, real world experience you can get in anything, the better you're going to be. And the cool thing about trading is it's so easy to get experience in the market, and you can kind of shortcut it or fast track it, I guess is a better way than shortcut. Shortcut has a negative connotation, but you can kind of fast track it in the market in the fact that, hey, if Tom wants to get 5 years experience in trading, right? Anything else, if Tom wants to get 5 years of experience of driving, right? Tom would have to literally drive for 5 years. Right? In trading, because we have access to historical data and all these market replays and stuff like that, Tom can easily get 5 years experience in the market in what? maybe 20 minutes, go back in time, hit the replay button, put it on 10x speed and just look through, right? And it's so amazing the advantages that we have where we can gain experiences that quickly. I guess the negative advantage is that, or negative, not advantage, negative part of it is that also causes us maybe to rush through. Maybe instead of taking your time and doing things the right way, you kind of just check the boxes where Tom goes back 5 years and scrolls through it at 100x and is done in 5 minutes and says, hey, I got 5 years experience, I'm good to go. Right? I guess there are people like that. I think that comes down to a bigger problem of like, are you actually learning or just reading for completion, right? It's like me in school where it's like, I would read a chapter and I would read through very, very quickly just because the teacher said I had to read the chapter. So I can come back to school the next day and be like, hey, I read the chapter. But then it's like, well, Akil, what did you learn from the chapter? I'm like, nothing, because I didn't take anything in. So that's on you as a human being to make sure that you actually take in the knowledge and do things the right way. There's going to be a gift and a curse of everything, right? I was having this discussion about AI the other day where it's like, AI is going to doom the world and robots are going to take over and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, that could happen, right? You know my opinion on that. But there's also some really, really cool things. Again, we wrote that mission statement, but we took 20 people that brought together ideas and we used AI to put it into a nice little mission statement for, and that was amazing. So it all depends on how you want to use it. Tom said, yeah, it took a while to get used to trading live after backtesting at high speed. Yeah, yeah, live. Yeah, it's you know what? Not to get too off topic. I was thinking about this the other day about trading live and focusness. Right, I've spoken about this before on the Trading Coach podcast about just kind of how to work on your focusness. Because what I feel is this is in general, as different generations that are coming up are becoming less and less focused. Right. I don't know how old you guys are, but like you look at people in the 20s, 18 to 20, 15 to 20, and then even lower than that, right? There is a significant dip in their attention span, right? I was speaking to a bunch of old, right? I'm old now, right? Old parents the other day, and we're talking about, back in the day, we used to watch TV shows and we used to have to kind of sit through like 5 minutes of commercial breaks and sit there and wait, and we couldn't leave because we didn't want to miss when the TV show came back on because you couldn't record it, there were no replays, you had to wait another year till they showed it again. And now I'm like, well, my kid just watches like highlights of stuff on YouTube and then clicks through and speeds through the commercials at 10x and go like it's just like boom, quick, boom, 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 right? His attention span is so short because he's used to these quick hit 1 minute or less YouTube shorts and these TikTok. Well, my kid's not on TikTok, but those type of videos where it's like instant boom, instant boom, instant boom, and our ability to focus gets less and less and less. And we bring in a mental performance coach for the track team that I work with, and we did. I forgot the name, but I talked about it in one of the Trading Coach podcasts. It was like a mental grid with numbers. I don't know if you guys heard this episode, but it's basically imagine a sheet and it's got, you can do all type of numbers. Let's say it's got numbers 1 to 100 there, right? But the numbers are all randomized. And the key is you have to X out or cross out all of the numbers in order. So it's this constant scan of like finding 1, finding 2, finding 3, right? And what you'll notice is that with most people in the beginning, it's very easy, right? You're banging through it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom, check, 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 check. But then after a certain amount of time, you can start to tell when your focus goes away. Because like all of a sudden you're looking at all these numbers, right? And then like you just get this brain fart. Like you just freeze. Like I remember I got to 40. I got the 1 to 40 in like 1 minute because I'm really good with numbers and identification. I'm a trader, right? I'm used to kind of analyzing stuff, right? And I got to 40 and I just got stuck. And like I could not find like 40 to save my life. And I was stuck there for like 2 minutes. And then like and I spoke to the performance coach afterwards and I'm like, well, what happened? Like, is it like I was doing so good. I was trying to win, right? What happened? And she said it was about, I don't know how many 2 minutes in. She's like, well, 2 minutes was your attention. That tells me that that's where your attention span. Like you can only focus that much energy, and it was a massive amount of energy. You can only focus that full amount of energy on that specific task for about 2 minutes before your brain needs a break, right? And it's different for everyone. Mine was like, because it was intense focus. I was going so hard, I just needed a breather. Imagine like sprinting full out. I was sprinting full out, and then eventually you need to stop and catch your breath. And there were different tactics where it's like, yes, you can train it, but it's also like, hey, you can progress just at a slower rate. Instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, go 1, breathe, 2, right? And that'll allow you to have more kind of mental endurance and stuff like that. But it was very interesting. And those are tactics that you can do to kind of train your brain, just like a runner, right? If you want to get more endurance, you run, right? The more you run, the more endurance you will have, right? You can train your body, right? The more you lift, the stronger your body will be, the more muscle you'll develop. Right? The more you practice any skill, the better you'll get. Your mind is the same way. We have to train it, like board games, puzzles, stuff like that. That keeps you sharp. You see them tell a lot of, older people, like do word searches or Scrabble or what's the other one? It starts with an S. Sudoku. I never played it, but whatever like that, because it keeps your mind sharp even in those later years. You're training that brain muscle. And it always made me think, like, as traders, like, man, all we're doing is pattern recognition, and all we're doing is focusedness. And what's so hard about what we do is we're looking through a haystack for needles every single day. And that requires so much focus. And if we miss that one little clue, that could be the difference between a great trade and a non-trade. And great trades don't come too often, so we can't afford to miss too many great trades. Like, and I hate to put this type of urgency on you, but some of these trades are once in a lifetime type of moves. And it made me think so much about how, we have to, or we should all add an element to our trading where we talk about, going back in the sandbox and playing around and journaling. We should all add an element to our trading where we just work on our mental endurance, our ability to focus, especially if you're a day trader. Because I would see the reason I started taking breaks when I ran live rooms, I would try to day trade 3 hours straight. And I would always notice a dip in my performance like after hour 1 because I would just be mentally fatigued. So I found that if I took breaks every, at least like 45 to an hour at max, it gave me that little bit of a recharge to refocus. Now, the next level, right, the cool thing, I just learned about this yesterday. I was watching this show called Quarterback on Netflix, and they're talking about, they're following these quarterbacks around. And if you guys have never played, like, American football at a high level, it's amazing what these quarterbacks do, right? Like, reciting a play call, a single play call is like 2 sentences. And I was a receiver when I played, so it's easy as a position player because I just have to pay attention to 2 things. I have to pay attention to the formation, which they say first, and then I have to pay attention to my one little code, right? So think about it like this: like when the quarterback says a play, they're reciting a code. They're reciting a code that tells every single position what to do. Right? They're saying every single position what to do. So as a receiver, I just had to pay attention to one position. As a quarterback, they have to know every single position. They have to know every single play. So it's massive, the mental capacity you have to have. And they're following around Kirk Cousins, who was the quarterback for Minnesota Vikings, and he has this brain thing that he does. He straps it onto his head, and they got the sensors and everything, and it measures his focusness. And what he does is he watches like a show. He hooks up to his phone. I think he's watching like a Netflix show or something. And there's different kind of indicators, but for this specific one today, every time his brain would like lose focusness, the screen would dim. And the dim would be like a reminder to lock in. So like if imagine you're watching a TV show and you start like zoning off on like something else, the show would dim, and that would be like kind of a pattern interrupt, like, hey, snap back into it. And it was pretty cool, and it would be very interesting. It'd probably be a lot of blinky lights. It'd be very interesting to see if we had that as traders, where you measured yourself looking at the charts each day, and again, it would probably look like a strobe light for some of you guys, but you measured where your focusedness went away and how much focusedness you lost throughout the day. And one, those dims would give you a reminder to refocus. But two, I think you'd be able to do a better job of planning your day. Because again, if you're like me, and I just did this off of pure guesses, but if you're like me and you notice that, hey, every 30 minutes, your little brain chart goes like to zero because you've zoned out, well, then you can easily say, hey, like, I'm going to break my trading up in 30-minute segments. Or I'm looking at charts for 30 minutes and I got to take a 5-minute break. I'm looking at it for 30 minutes where I got to take a 5-minute break. Or even if you want to put this into your regular life, like kind of like the Pomodoro thing I talk about, where it's like you do a task for 25 minutes and a 5-minute break. Do a task for 25 minutes, 5-minute break. You can find that optimal time that you can operate before your performance kind of drops off. And then you can kind of create your schedule around that, which is pretty cool. So yeah, brain is interesting. That would be the next level. I was supposed to take it seriously and I didn't, just because it's you look at things in the bigger scheme, and like adding a whatever 30 minutes for a mental break thing is like not on my not on my preferred list of things to do. But I released the podcast last week about kind of being more efficient and sandwiching things together. It's one of those things where it's like, hey, if it's important to you, you'll find a way. You'll find a way to do it. So I think it's something that I want to implement at least a little bit in my trading. Not on a daily basis, but maybe once a week or twice a week, something like that. Maybe on the slow days. So see if it helps, right? We're looking for any little edge we can get, just like a professional athlete. Any little legal edge we can get, right? Not getting steroids and stuff like that. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Again, the bigger theme is that as traders, we are our own business. And with any business, we are looking for an edge and a way to increase our edge, a way to increase our margin, just like we do in the market. So this small stuff may not seem like it's a massive deal right now, depending on where you're at in your trading journey. But two things. One, eventually, as you get good at trading, it's harder and harder to increase that edge. So this stuff is going to become more important because this is the way that you can improve gradually. Two, if you start implementing these tactics right now, man, you're going to be ahead of the curve. And by the time you get experience in the market and your trading skill catches up, mentally and psychologically, you'll be at a whole new level. So give it a try. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next episode.